What's up, everybody? This your boy, Willie Lee. Wanted to hit y'all up about something important. Give me a quick second. All right. Yeah, I wanted to talk to you guys about something pretty cool, actually, and that's the Most High. So I'm going to describe the Most High. I'm going to describe somebody. I want you to tell me, who am I talking about? So let me give you some clues here. This being is part of a Trinity: the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. This being is considered the Most High. This being is said to walk on water, to come riding in on clouds. He is referred to as the truth, the way, and the light. Nobody can get through the Father but through Him. This being is called the Son of God. This being died for 3 days, then rose again. This being actually has a birthday, December 25th. This being is resurrected, having died and then was born again. This being does this resurrection or dies for the sins of mankind. Who am I talking about? Now, I know who you think we're talking about, but I'm talking about somebody even older than that. See, that being, if it's 2016, that being was here 2016 years ago, the year zero, his birth year, that being, if he actually lived. But we're not talking about him, we're talking about somebody older than him. If you think I'm talking about Horus, that could be too. After all, Horus has the same story as he who was called Jesus. Same story. These beings have the same exact story, even though Horus was 4,000 years beforehand. So if Horus was 3,000 or 4,000 years before he who is called Jesus, then who plagiarized who? After all, Jesus' story is told on paper or through word of mouth from its inception. But this Horus guy, his story was told on Egyptian walls that were sealed off from the public for thousands of years, only recently been opened. These stories date back thousands and thousands and thousands of years, millennia. So, I'm not even talking about that being, though. So, who am I talking about now? Y'all like, damn, well, just go ahead and give it to us. Well, I'm talking about the Son. Okay, the Son. Jesus, right? No. I'm talking about the Son, like the Most High, the all-seeing eye in the sky. That Son, the one that sees all, knows all. So the sun in the sky has a lot of connotations to black people. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But first, we're going to talk about things I mentioned. Called the truth, the way, and the light. You know that, right? Of course. The light, sun. Birthday, December 25th. Why is the sun's birthday December 25th? Well, we got things called we have a solar calendar. And on the solar calendar, we have things called equinoxes, and we have things called solstice. Equinox means equal nights. You got two of them. You have spring equinox, and you have an autumn equinox. And all this means is that the day and the night on those days is half day, half night. So from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. is all day. From 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. is all night. Equal nights. A solstice means sun dies. So on a solstice, you got two of those. You got a summer solstice, which takes place in the southern hemisphere. And you have a winter solstice that takes place in the northern hemisphere. All this stuff is very important, guys. I know I'm rambling a little bit, but check this out. So you got the solstice. So every day after the fall or autumn equinox, the nights are getting a little bit longer than the day. A little bit longer than the day. So the sun is going down a little bit lower in the sky every day until December 21st. And when December 21st hit, the sun only rises on the horizon. It stays that way. So the ancients who saw this said that the sun dies. So December 21st, the sun dies. 22nd, 23rd, 24th, the sun is staying still. On the 25th, it starts going up by 1 degree. and then after that it starts rising again. So they saw this phenomenon where it goes down, stays put, then it goes back up again. It does that every year. So it's said that the sun dies, then rises again after 3 days, only to be born again. And that day that the sun rises by that 1 degree and starts signaling longer days, that's December 25th, the birthday of the sun. Sun is a part of a holy trinity. So we can talk about people's trinities. We can talk about trinities all over the planet. We got to remember, first of all, what's the oldest trinity? What can be an older trinity than the sun? So we got to look at it from this aspect. You have the sun in the morning, the father of the day, is called dawn. So the father of the day, signaling a day is getting ready to start. That's the father. You got the sun at midday. That's 12 o'clock. Midday, that's the sun at its highest. The zenith, the most high. At 12, he goes about his father's works. Then you got the sun at dusk, or at 6. That's when the sun is setting. The setting sun was seen as a dying sun. So they call it the Holy Ghost. That's where you get your Father, your Son, and your Holy Ghost. From the sun at dawn, midday, and dusk. Keep in mind that. Walks on water. The sunlight, as it reflects on the water, seems to walk on water. Comes riding on clouds. When you look up in the sky, the sun appears to be riding on clouds. All these things are important because we have to understand where this stuff comes from. Then I'm going to bring it back to black people in just a second. So when we look at these things, we got another one that's really important. It's on a spiritual level. Like I was telling you earlier, everything is a 3-part being. Whether you got an egg has the yolk, the white, then the cell, then the egg shell membrane. Then you got a cell in the human body. A cell has a nucleus, cytoplasm, and a cell membrane. You got an atom, smallest unit. You got protons, electrons, and neutrons. Everything is a 3-part being. A man is a 3-part being. I'm a spiritual man, I'm a solar man or mental man, and I'm a physical man. So spiritual, solar or mental, and physical. Those are the 3 aspects of man. Sun is no different. So the sun gives off 3 kinds of energy. You got the energy that you can feel called warmth. That's the physical sun. You got, how when you get an ideal, they show like a little light bulb popping. That's because we have a certain aspect of us with that's called, our mental. That's the solar. That's the mediator. And it's important to know that the sun gives off this light that illuminates our ideals in our mind. That light is called the mediator. That's intelligence that we get from the sun. You don't feel it like the warmth you feel of the physical sun. You feel it in your mind because your mind is sharp. Your mind reacts to it. That's the mental aspect of the sun. Now, then we call that solar. Then you got the spiritual aspect of the sun, who keeps everything in rotation and causes cause and effect. Now, you don't feel that like you feel warmth. You don't feel that like you feel the intelligence that is coming through you. You feel that on a karmic basis. These are universal laws at play here. This is spiritual stuff. So when we say no man can get to the Father but through me, the Father is that spiritual level. The physical man is the physical man. The mediator is the mind. So for you to be able to decipher between the two, for those two to communicate, the physical and the spiritual, they have to go through that mediator or the solar sun. So we are all solar men when we black folks. We are solar people. Now, why don't we have any sun reverence? And I like to use the word reverence other than worship, because we don't worship the sun. We shouldn't worship the sun, But we got to look at it from the aspects of reverence, meaning that ultimate respect that you pay something. Now, the sun is our creator, whether you like to hear it or not. We are carbon-based beings. All carbon comes from the sun. In fact, we are stardust. We are from the explosion of stars. When stars collide with our sun, it creates the matter that spins into a ball that collects more matter that creates our planets, that create all the minerals and elements and core raw materials that are on our planets, in our atmospheres. All that was created through the belly of suns. Now, our sun is our creator. The same matter that is in us is in the sun. It's come from the sun, guys. So we gotta pay homage to that in some kind of form or fashion. Now, why did we stop doing that? Because black people, whether you like to understand this or not, we have been solar people showing sun reverence for millions of years on this planet. Like, we've been on the planet millions of years, whether folks like to admit it or not. Because we got new man who has come on the earth in the last 6,000 years. So he said the earth is 6,000 years old. But actually, we've been on the planet. It can be carbon dated to show that we've been on the planet for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years. You know, deal with that. So why did we stop doing that? It's because the new man came and he did not find favor with the sun. And I'm going to explain this on a scientific level. On a scientific level, you got to look at the effects that the sun has on a person, right? Let's look at a person living in constant sunlight and a person living in a lack of sunlight. We're going to look at that real quick. So a person living in constant sunlight, what would happen to that person? Well, if a person is living within constant sunlight, naturally his skin will be darker. If a person is living in constant sunlight and the sun is beaming down on his crown, then naturally his hair will coil to absorb that. You know, he has coily, coarse hair like lambs will, because the sun is constantly beating on his scalp. So he needs coily hair. You got to look at it. He has a wide nose because of the humid air that surrounds a place where there's nothing but sunlight all the time. He has thick lips. He has long extremities and a shorter torso, because these long legs and these long extremities keep his core body, the vital organs, from being scorched by the ground, because gravity will pull you toward the ground. Like we can't fly, you know. So with gravity pulling us toward the ground, when we're standing upright, to keep our vital organs away from the scorched ground, we have longer limbs. This is all anatomy based on science of being in close relation to the sun. What else we got with this person? This person needs, by his darker skin, he needs more sunlight than anybody else on the planet. Like, the darker your skin are, the more sunlight you need. This melanin in your system, this is melanin we're talking about here. Melanin is power. This melanin in your system needs sunlight. It's called vitamin D. Our body creates or synthesizes vitamin D from the sunlight, just like a plant would make, have a photosynthesis process that makes food for itself. You know, that same process works on us with our melanin, because the sun gives us vitamin D through its sun rays. Those were the original blessings. Like when you see those little rays that come off the sun, those are blessings. They symbolize the vitamin D. So what happens when a person doesn't have vitamin D in their system, or is insufficient, or they don't have enough vitamin D, or lack of vitamin D? Well, a person gets lethargic, a person gets angry, a person gets moody, a person gets depressed, a person gets stressed out. These are things that happen to black people or solar people when they are away from the sunlight, or they're not getting enough sunlight. And in fact, if you look at any clinical studies, they show you that most black people who are in colder temperate climates suffer from mood swings, higher propensity to get diseases, and are lethargic, depressed more, stressed more. All these good things, these happen. Not good things, but all these things happen because we are not in constant contact with the sun. We need to look at that, guys. So if the sun benefits us so much, then why don't we show reverence to the sun? When we once built our whole lives religiously and spiritually around the sun, what made us stop? And again, we're going to point to the new man. And he found no favor with the sun. So let's deal with a person who grows, or a group of people that are cultivated outside of the sun. Well, if a person is born outside of the sun, they are in colder, darker climates. Now, what happens to a person who is in a colder, darker climate? We can say cave. What happens to a group of people that for thousands of years have been cultivated inside caves, inside mountains? Y'all should know what I'm getting at. But these people, their skin will turn paler having lack of access to the sun. Their melanin would depreciate in value because they don't need melanin in that kind of category. They need to, their skin doesn't need melanin as much because they don't have as much melanin. They don't have as much sunlight coming in. So they don't need that. So their skin will get paler. Because it's cold, to protect their crown and the cape of their neck, they have to have long, straight hair. The lack of melanin in their system also leads to lack of color in their, or lack of hue, dark hue in their eyes and things like such. So their eyes wouldn't be as brown or as black as a person in a more temperate climate or a hotter climate. You also got to look at the fact that the air is thinner, so they have longer nostrils. Their lips are thinner. Things like that happen. They have longer torsos to shorter limbs because their bodies and their vital organs need heat. So their body is closer to the ground. So they have shorter limbs. They can be 6 feet tall, just like you can be 6 feet tall, but the composition of their anatomy is different. We have a longer limb to torso ratio. They have a longer torso to limb ratio, due to the fact that their body needs to be closer to the Earth's core. All right? We got to look at the psychological effects and the sociological effects of being in a place where there is no sun and it's cold and it's a cave. You don't have really access to resources. In a hotter climate, you got access to all the animals and all the fruits and vegetables that are associated with these hotter climates. When you go to a colder climate, there is scarce resources. So you become more of a warlike people to have to fight for resources. You have to become more cunning in your mind. You know, you're more sinister in a lot of ways. Even if you have a good heart, you're a lot more sinister of a person. Your integrity is more likely to be compromised. And we can look at it from poor people in any place you go to. Poor people are not necessarily inherently bad people, but poor people have a higher propensity to violence and destruction because of their ignorance and because of their lack of resources. Like even ignorance is a byproduct of a lack of resources. So all these things happen to a person that is born in a colder climate. You know, so they are warlike people by nature. When they come upon resources, they have to hoard them. They they really gravitate toward having wealth because they are from places where wealth is scarce. Resources are so scarce, so they hoard these things. And they will conquer people for these things. And they will fight. And they will be sinister. And they will deceive. They will do all these kind of things to get these things because they are from a colder climate. Now let's deal with the aspects of why the sun finds no favor on them. So when these people come out of these caves, that light, that light blinds them. It hurts. You know? When they come out of them caves, that light is kicking their ass, you know? Also, not just the light, but that heat, them blessings that we get, the sun rays, they hit that black skin, they not finding no favor in that. You know what it do to their skin? It burns it. It burns their skin. So for them, just to have an eternity in the presence of the Most High, just to be in the presence of the sun for eternity is the ultimate form of punishment for these people. You know what they named this punishment? This new man, you know what he named it? He named that punishment hell. To spend eternity in the presence of our God was considered hell to him. So naturally, he had to turn the world away from this God into an artificial God. It would be like having plants that grow wild that are used to the sunlight for photosynthesis. And you put them in the green light and you get them artificial light that you can control this light. You can't control the sun. You can control this light. So when they get that light and you take it away from them, they know that that light is giving them their power. So they might worship this false light, not knowing that the real light is right outside that doorway, right outside the doorway of that mind state. So we got to look at those aspects. When we talk about the sun, think about that. You know, really think about why we are not solar people, why we are not practicing being solar people, why we shun the sun, why we see it as pagan, when in actuality, that's our natural state of being. You know? So I got some books for you guys. First book I got is called Osiris. Now, folks been asking me about books for a while, so I got Osiris. Osiris is a book about the story of Haru. Now, Osiris was the king, and his name meant Lord of the Mighty Black, or something to that effect. You know what I'm saying? Something to that effect. But Osiris, you know. So we got him, and his wife was named Isis, and his son was Horus or Haru. We get the word hero from Horus. We get the word horoscope from Horus. Horoscope means Horus sees, and that's also play on sun allegory, like Horus sees is all the allegory of the horoscope. Like we all have our horoscope sign, our zodiac sign, and all this stuff, but we don't understand that all that stuff is correlated to the sun. The suns travel throughout star systems. That's what gives us our horoscope, you know. So make sure you understand that as well. But anyway, Osiris got killed by his brother Set, where we get Satan from. Set killed his brother. She chopped him into 13 pieces. His wife Isis searched all over the land for those 13 pieces, put them all together, found 12 of them, put them all together. She found everything but his phallus. Put those pieces together, made her husband again, breathed life back into him. Because that's how powerful the woman is. We'll talk about that at another time. But she breathed life back into this man, and she could not have a child by him because he did not have a phallus. So the spirit of God hovered, of course, Osiris being God, hovered in, placed a child into her womb. And that was the first Immaculate Conception. The first Immaculate Conception was Isis, who had Osiris's baby, who is Horus. You know, so you gotta make sure you remember that. So what happened to that piece that they didn't find, that phallus that they didn't find? Well, the world worships that phallus right now. That resurrection, that obelisk is what you would call it. Anywhere you go, whether it be the Vatican, whether it be Washington Monument, these places have an erect penis or oblique, symbolizing the worship of Osiris, even though they're not claiming to be any kind of Egyptologists or any kind of people that practice those kind of religions. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't have books of the dead that they go around reciting. They don't have books of Osiris and the 42 negative confessions of Ma'at. They don't have that kind of stuff, but they actually still put up those monuments because secretly that's what they worship. They know the sun is the truth, guys. You know, and their resurrection is symbolized. That oblique symbolizes you in the morning. You rise with the sun in the morning. Like if your penis is working properly and you've been taking care of your body, when you wake up in the morning, you got what's called morning wood. Well, that morning wood is actually the sun pulling on that penis. You know, like that sunlight is power, guys. So Osiris, that's one book I got. Next book I got. Now Osiris, that's I would say Osiris is like sea level when I give you these books. So I'm gonna give you CBA. Osiris is sea level. That's when you want to refute anything in the Bible. Anything in the Bible, and when I say the Bible, that's going to speak for Christians, Jews, and Muslims, because they all have to refer back to this Abrahamic stem. And if you can cut off the stem at its origin, all the other ones fall down too. You know what I'm saying? So that's the sea level. When you want to really discover if Jesus was God, if Muhammad was real, if Allah did this, or whatever the case may be, you can just go to the Osiris. You can knock anybody arguments out the water. Second book done. Second book, my favorite book, Nile Valley's Contributions to Modern Civilization by Anthony Browder. Now, this book very important. I was studying to be a pastor. I was like 21, 22 years old. And I used to hate that people had arguments that I couldn't refute. Like I could not stand it. So if a person came to me and I'm trying to teach the word and they telling me that, you know, Allah is God and Muhammad was his final messenger, I needed to be able to refute his argument. So I used to read up on everybody's religions, read the Quran like 2-3 times just to be able to have my points in order to be able to go at them. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Hindus or Buddhists or anything else. I wanted to be able to refute any argument. So I bought all these books on religion and I would study all these religions. Well, I had this guy, he put me up on this book. He said, man, if you read this book and you still believe in Jesus, then give me the reasons. And if I see the soundness in your logic, I'm joining in, man. So I was like, bet. I don't want to convert this soul to Christ. So let me go ahead and read this book so I can refute this information and get this man on the right path. Well, I read this book and broke down crying. I broke down crying when I read this book. Like, I was a young man, 22, 23, cried like a baby. It was this book that did it to me, y'all. This book got so much irrefutable evidence in it about how the Egyptians had this solar system that was studied and copied by the rest of the world, that it shut everything down. Anything that you can possibly believe about Jesus can be refuted by this book. And it's because that the information that they have is written in stone, guys. Y'all gotta understand that. First of all, anybody that got paper know that paper comes from papyrus. Papyrus grows in Africa. So anybody that has any information outside of that had to first come to Africa and get it to put it down. You know what I'm saying? So these people wrote, and not in even papyrus. Like, they wrote scrolls, they had books, they had libraries. But their main information, the oldest stuff from its original inception came from stone. You know, which come first now, paper or the stone. So y'all gotta remember that. So this is B level though. That's how powerful my next book finna be. Next book's so powerful. I told y'all about it before, but you know, it's extra powerful. But this is that B level. That's how hard the next book is, because this book is my Bible damn near. You know what I'm saying? So let's get to that A level book. A level book. The Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall. Manly P. Hall. Can y'all see that? The Secret Teachings of All Ages. Now this book here, First of all, this is a thick book, y'all. Thick. And I read this book so many times, like, I don't know no book that I can read more times than this. And when I'm bored sometimes, I would just go back and read chapters just to get a new understanding. Every time I read it, and I've elevated my understanding since I read it last, I get a new understanding when I read it again. It's that powerful of a book, guys. That powerful of a book. But this book talks about everything. Every secret society, whether it be Masons, Rosicrucians, it talks about Old Testament Hebrews, it give you the Muslims, it'll give you insect worship. Like, it give you natural worship. It tells you about the ancient Indians. It tells you everything, any secret society, any secret doctrine, any secret theology that the ancients mastered, or that the secret societies of today use to control the masses. All that's in this book right here, guys. But the reason why this book is important for this conversation on the Most High or the Sun is because the Sun chapters in this book right here gonna blow y'all mind. It's gonna blow y'all mind with the amount of information about the Sun and how it relates as a deity. Like, it's gonna blow your mind, the amount of information you're gonna hear in this book. So, the Secret Teachings of All Ages. And the crazy part about this book, guys, on a side note, and I ain't gonna keep it long, I'm almost done. The crazy note about this book is that it's written by a dude, Manly P. Hall. Now, this dude, Manly P. Hall, wrote this book. He was 28 years old. He had no connections. He had no ties to any secret societies. He was a poor man with no network that he can go to and say, hey, I got this information passed down from years and years and years and years and years. This man wrote one of the greatest masterpieces of the last 2,000 years when he was 28 years old. The book came out, it was in the 1800s. This man spent 3 years in Egypt, came back. Like, listen to that. White man spent 3 years in Egypt studying hieroglyphics, and they was excavating pyramids and tombs and whatnot, stealing our shit, basically. This man came out with a manuscript that is unrivaled. Each chapter of this book, you would need to be a trained expert with information that was passed down to you for hundreds of years just to write one chapter. In every chapter of this book, this man wrote this book at 28 with no known connections. He was so feared when this book came out that people thought he made a deal with the devil just to get this information. Like, people thought he sold his soul. Like, I ain't talking about on the figurative. I'm talking about literally. People thought he was made hexagrams on the ground, chariot, called up some demons and devils, and made a deal to get this information. That's how powerful this information in this book is. So, you remember that 28-year-old man wrote this book. It's crazy, man. Crazy. So, those are my 3 books. Just wanted to give you out some information on the sun. Hope it helped out. Hope it opened up your horizons. When anybody says, the sun's just a ball in the sky, you know, like, why are you going to worship the sun? All that kind of crazy stuff. Don't even pay them no attention, guys. When somebody says, well, there's bigger balls of fire in the universe. Like the sun is actually a small sun on the level of other suns. Okay, that's fine also. We're going to look at it like this. Since we talk about the sun being our creator, the sun is like our parents. So you love your mama, right? You love your mama. But you could form the conclusion that there must be better mamas out there than your mama. You know what I'm saying? Like your mama can't be the best mama. She's your mama though. So you love her, you wouldn't trade her for anything. Well, there might be better mamas out there, but your mama is your mama. So she's loved and revered for that reason alone. She did the best job she could to raise you, and you happy with the product that you are, of course. So your mom is revered to you. Same with your father. Now, when we look at it from that aspect, it's the same thing with the sun. There might be bigger suns out there, but this is our sun. This is the one that created us. So even though those ones might be bigger, we revere ours just the same. And just like we talk about our mama and daddy, our mama and daddy, there are other mamas and daddies out there. You know what I'm saying? There's other mothers and fathers out there. So it would be safe to surmise that our son, just like our parents, exists in a community. So just like there's a community of parents or of people in general, our mom and daddy got to go to work. They got to interact with other people. They're co-workers. They might be business owners. They might be anything. But they got to exist and interact with other people in a community, in a global world. Well, our sun is a part of a solar community of suns. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like we have a community, there's things outside of our understanding about the community of the Milky Way galaxy. That galaxy is revolving and it's spinning and it works in concert. And there are dual suns that are in love that work on a binary system. Like all these things might sound kind of out there, but just give it some thought. Just really start researching on the sun, especially if you're a black person, because if you're a black person, you got to understand that in a solar system, we are the chosen ones. In a solar system, we chosen, man. We are gods. In a solar system, we are the chosen by science. Like, understand that, man. When you give an artificial God the power, then the people who control that artificial God can look down on you and say, this is the chosen people. We are. So listen to us as we are the chosen, whether it be the Jews, you know, or whether it be the Catholics in the Vatican, or whether it be the Arabs who brought you Islam. These people feel like they were the chosen ones because they were given these doctrines in some kind of way. So God made them chosen. But damn, our God, the Most High, the one we should revere, made us chosen. And this can be proven by science. Look at your skin. You know, look at your hair. Look at your nose. You know, we are people who are the byproducts of being in close proximity to the sun. So when we talk about the people of light and the people of dark, people think because we dark skinned, that makes us obviously the people of dark. But we're not. We're not the powers of darkness. We're the powers of light, because our skin clearly shows that light loves us. The powers of darkness are the people whose skin does not show that light was around them. Think about that. Think about that. Now, I'm going to go slow with that one more time because I love that point. The people of light are around light. So when they are around light, it shows in their skin, right? Now, the powers of darkness is surrounded by darkness. It's cold and dark. What happens to the skin, the eyes, the hair of these people? Think about that. All right, so that's my conversation for today on the sun. I think I'm going to do another one about the devaluer. Who is the devaluer and what does he devalue? How do we know who the devaluer is and how can we identify him? We call it the devil, but devil is just a term for a devaluer. A devaluer is not a person, it's It's a mind state. It's a group of people. We'll talk about that another day. All right, this is Willie Havmeyer. Make sure you check out wordoverdose.com. Make sure you check out havmeyerinc.com. Make sure you check out wateryourseeds.com for fathers with multiple children and multiple homes. We do all that good stuff, y'all. So check out my websites. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you check my pages out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. Anything you want to know about the sun, hit me in my inboxes and whatnot. DM your boy. I got you.